Shall we just start with it, Robbo? A lot of talk the past 2 weeks. Dom Young, Brandon Smith, they played the last game for the Roosters.
Probably separate them, I guess. I think we know Brandon's doing his medical this morning, so I think that's pretty clean. I think that'll should get sorted out today, and he'll move over there from, I'd say, tomorrow, as far as I know. But that'll get the tick off today, I'd say, with South.
And Dom?
Yeah, Dom's a bit more. I don't think. No, he's here. He played on the weekend. To be honest, all that's been fairly annoying. The way it's not to do with any of you guys. The way it was sort of put out there was as if we were trying to push him out, which wasn't the case. Newcastle rang us, and obviously having talked to his manager beforehand when he got dropped to try and get him out, and we said yes, and then they wanted us to pay the whole year, and we went, well, no, if you want him. Their chairman said that they had the money to take him now, and so we agreed. His management wanted that, and then they've backtracked at the end of the week and today. So that's really annoying. If you ask for something, you've prepared it, then you stick by it, and they haven't done that, and it's sort of thrown Dom in a spin and us all this week when it wasn't our doing. So it's pretty annoying.
It's a tough one for you and Dom if it's been pitched one way and then they've pivoted. How are you sort of dealing with that?
Dom and I had a good discussion last week when all this happened. We were clear about who instigated it. He didn't know about it. His management did, Newcastle did. And so Dom and I are really clear on what happened, and it didn't come from us, it came from them. His management asked, so we said, okay, if you want to go, then go. And then it came out as if we were pushing him out, which was not the case at all, and we sort of held on to that, but we were going through the process there, and then they've said, that you pay him out for the rest of the year, and it's like, well, if you want him, and so they've backtracked on that, and then we'll get back to work with Dom. Dom hasn't done anything wrong in all of this either, so it's been really clear with us, but it's been an annoying week, I think, from our point of view and Dom's point of view, and it's just not how you do things.
So just to be clear, Trent, if Dom obviously got dropped for form reasons, if
Yep.
you lose Mark or Tubes this week, he's straight back in, and you'll keep working with him until otherwise told.
Yeah, that was going to happen a week ago. It was so clear until all of this sort of happened externally to us. But Dom hasn't done anything wrong. He went and played and went to Tamworth and played, and he'll be back in, not today, but they'll start getting to work tomorrow, those guys that went up there. And so, it's business as usual for us, but to throw him in a spin and to throw us in a spin when they've had discussions beforehand and not be ready to back it up, that's just not business.
Is there a world in which he stays here next year, Robbo?
Yeah, there is. He's on contract. There's no issue. It's just I thought Mark was outplaying him. Really simple. That happens every week in sport around the world. Like, it's quite simple. He's a really good player. He's an NRL player. He's a starting NRL player. But Mark was playing slightly better, and you make that choice. And then things happen behind the scenes a lot in our game, which is quite normal. But very rarely it happens like it's happened in the last week.
Would you make a complaint about how that's been handled, Trent? Like, if clubs approaching your players' camp and
No, that's not. But this happens in the game, so there's no problem with that. But when you say something, back it up.
So, Robbo, is the dispute only related to this year's contract? He's got another couple of years after.
Yeah.
Would you have to sort of contribute towards that if he was released?
But Rob, you know how we had not one discussion about letting Dom go at all. That wasn't a discussion at all, right? Then we get approached by Newcastle and his management, and they say, we want this to happen, and we say, fine, well, you take up the contract, and then they want us to release him, but us to pay money for it when we weren't even thinking about releasing him. In what world does that happen? Like, you said that you had room in your cap. So get it sorted. You threw a guy's life upside down for a week. You put another club in, and but just do it in the right way.
So you guys aren't interested in paying him out to move him on then, or
Why? We hadn't even had a discussion. So why would we pay out for a really good player to move somewhere else unless the club was ready to pay it and their management wanted it to happen? And apparently Dom did after not being here. So, and then we have to pay? Come on, that's not how it works.
Is this situation put an end to a possible early move for Dom to Newcastle?
Yeah, unless things change from their end, I think they're trying to bluff us into, but we didn't want it to happen. We didn't instigate any of this. So anyway, that's done. I think I've been pretty clear in our stance and how it went down. And so it's just get back to work. Let's keep playing and get back to Dom playing his best footy and being in a place for selection.
On Brandon Trent,
Yeah.
so he's gone for medical. Like
Yep.
how many weeks, if he stayed here, would he be likely for him to return to play?
Yeah, Sammy's about 5. He was a couple of weeks after that, so he's probably about 7.
So the
Yeah.
decision to move him on now, what accelerated that?
It was financial for us, really. He's obviously going to come back and contribute. I think Wayne sort of mentioned it quite well about that injury, but he's going there next year, gets them a head start. We did it with Mark last year. We knew he was coming for the year after. The earlier you can get him in the doors, the better it was for obviously Rugby Australia, the better it is for us financially, but then it's also better for the team you're going to get a head start. So I think that's pretty clean in how it worked out.
So from this week, he'll be training with them, won't come back in.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the plan.
Everyone's speculating about freeing up money to bring Daly to the club. Is he a guy you're interested in bringing?
Yeah, look, I said it maybe 6 weeks ago that we were interested. We haven't had any discussions since then with management. That's still the case, but the freeing up is about building the best squad we can possibly build. That will be about, we're in negotiations with 3 of our guys that are already on contract, some of the younger guys, so we're in negotiations with them as well. So it's always a mix of both. Okay, so we've obviously recruited Reece from outside for next year. There is an interest there, and I think we've been really clear on what we've been trying to do this year. I mean, everyone expected us to make some big moves last year. We've played a lot of these guys. I think we've got sort of 29 or 30 out of our full squad that have come through our system, as much as any team in the competition, and that'll continue.
I'm sure you heard it. Brandon came out and said, it's signed, sealed, and delivered. Daly's coming next year. What sort of damage can that do if it's not the case?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's alone in that speculation. I think a lot of people have said that, but I've said, I think 6 weeks ago, I don't know how long it was, that we're interested. We haven't got to the point where we've sat down and had a conversation with their management that 6 weeks ago. And we'll get to it in due course, whether it can get worked out.
So one thing that you hear people talk about is, and never obviously said publicly in the club, is that certain guys that use the culture here at the Roosters. Like, as the coach, how do you feel hearing comments like that? And has that been the case with some of the guys that's not quite gelling?
No, I think we're pretty clear about who we want to be at the Roosters. We're not perfect. And there's lots of different people that have fit into our culture over the course of time that I've been here and well before that. There's some people that fit better than others, but we've had a wide array of people over the course of a long period of time. I smile because I start thinking of all the characters that we've had over the course of time that have added really good value, and that'll continue into the future.
Hugo Lloris, manager, came out the other day and said if he signed the DCE, he might think about asking you guys for a loan deal or a profit. Is it something you think about?
Look, I've heard speculation about that. The manager hasn't approached us directly about anything like that. Hugo's here. I think we've really loved watching Hugo do his bit this year. He's definitely a Rooster through and through, so his future's here.
Although is Teddy being so well split up for you if you're picking that spot?
Look, I think I probably summarised it pretty clearly last week on you can't go wrong. You look at the way that Pappenhausen played yesterday, you look at Dylan, you look at Teddy, it's the selection of Laurie, really. There's, Ted is my number one and will always be that. For me, I love the way that he plays and the heart that he plays with. But it's Laurie's selection. I don't need to add to that. It's whatever his choice in his style of play and what fits that and around the other players.
So with random feature spot, Trent, is there anyone you want to recruit externally, or are you talking about promoting guys from within for your feet?
No,
It's going to be speculated about.
No. I mean, if you look at our squad and look at our reserve grade, there's a couple of young guys that are coming through that have been here for a while as well that will come through and fill that role. So it definitely won't be outside. It'll be developing through our academy program still.
What about just on Brandon? Since he's been here at the club, he was always in the spotlight, a high-profile player. How do you reflect on his time here at the Roosters and the impact he had with the squad?
Yeah, I spoke to him the other day about it. I feel like the first year was difficult. There was didn't hit the form that we wanted in that first year. There was reasons for that, and then he was on a tear in that last year. There was really momentum building, and then he got the knee injury. I think that stretch of sort of maybe 8 weeks was just exactly the rotation between him and Connor, and what we were doing there was such an important part of the way that we're playing. And then he had his knee injury, which obviously has put him out all of this year, and so that's this year it's not, he didn't get that opportunity to play. But I thought first year was difficult. Second year, often the case, people get into the rhythm of it a bit more, and he was playing some really, really good footy for us, and that shot us through the competition quite a bit until that knee injury.
Big game against the Dogs coming up
Yeah.
this week. Do you get a big inclusion? Is Lindsay a chance of playing this week?
Yeah, he'll be close. I'll name him tomorrow, and he'll be getting the steps through, and so that's a positive, and really looking forward to Friday night. I feel you'll see the guys we're talking about finding ourselves this year, and there's connections coming through the team and the new positions. We've got those guys that have played a bit together, and then some key positions. Hugo, Sandon, Connor playing 9. A lot of those sort of bench middles coming through and playing, are finding their feet in the Roosters style, and then really looking forward to that test on Friday night.
Did the bye come at the wrong time? Because that Magic Round performance was so strong. There was a lot to build on. Do you wish you could always play the following, or is it maybe a good chance just to give some rest to some of those guys?
Yeah, there's always a spot somewhere between sort of 8 and 12 rounds. You need that to take a breath, and always when you're winning on that, you'd like to continue that. But you plan your season around those buys in the middle of the year, and it came when it came, and it gives us that chance to get a rest, get some energy, and then fly into the next 3 weeks till our next one.
With all the comebacks and momentum swings in
Yeah.
the last weekend's game, is this becoming more of a factor, or is it just continuing? And also, when you're a coach, how is it when your team's losing the momentum? How do you sort of like get them back on track?
Yeah, that was the wildest weekend that I've seen on the momentum swings. It's a credit to where the game's got to. Defence wins premierships, it still does in the NRL, but then there has been this shift towards creativity without the help of field position. That's what's changed the momentum. Teams are attacking really well in the middle of the field, and so therefore when it gets live, that if teams can attack in the middle of the field, they can change momentum. When you don't need field position but can score points, you're a decent team. So, and that was, I don't know whether that was a weekend or whether that was an extreme version of what's to come, but it was great to see actually. It's usually a 10-point lead, people lock it down, and it stays that way. A 10-point lead can get obliterated within a couple of minutes, which we saw on the weekend, and and now teams are going to have to really learn how to control it, how to reverse it, a little bit more than what we have in the past if the weekend was anything to go by.
Back to Dom and Brandon, it seems pretty much like the Brandon Smith one's going through perfectly. Mid-season transfer, it's in complete contrast to the Domino one.
Yeah, I think they're just, I think people tried to make something of the Souths and East thing last week. That wasn't really the case. It was pretty simple from both ends, and I think both sides have handled it pretty cleanly and quite well, which will be disappointing for the gossip columnists to hear, but it was pretty clean, all of that. And then, the other one just, it's pretty rare. Like, I haven't seen too many go like that, to be honest, where someone asks to get out, there's no instigation from us, and then the management back it up, and then, I don't think I've seen that many times at all. Sonny Bill Williams, everyone. Then, everyone, it was just a strange happening that I haven't seen very much. If you say something pretty openly between leaders of clubs, usually back it up, and when that doesn't happen, it's surprising.
Is he Ross, what, 30?
Yes, you saw his bags. He's got his kit. What is he? 38. He's. This is a part of 10 minutes. You're giving Sonny Bill 10 minutes. Right, okay. No, he's getting ready for his fight.
Robert, Stephen Crichton was obviously phenomenal over the weekend.
Yep.
How do you see, how do you shut that down, and how does that match up to him and Billy goes?
I think there's some credit to the way that he turned it around, and obviously Kikau did that as well, and they really started that momentum shift for him. It's a really good challenge. I think for Billy, for CY Wong, those sort of guys, these are the games that you look forward to, and that's up to us to answer that on Friday night. He's been doing it for a long time, so I know Billy will be excited, so will CY and a lot of the others. So looking forward to that challenge for us. Great.
Thanks,
Appreciate it. Thanks.